Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley in this USC program made significant changes to the defensive side of the football heading into the 2024 year. And obviously, starting at the top with defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn. But the additions that USC made through the transfer portal are also really intriguing. I want to talk about one of my favorite additions that USC made in the transfer portal, and that is safety Kamari Ramsey coming from UCLA. I want to dive into the film and talk a little bit about what Kamari Ramsey brings to the table for USC, and more importantly, how does D'Anton Lynn want to use Kamari Ramsey in this defense? A very intriguing player, a general chess piece for this USC defense. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And as always, a massive shout out to the USC fans. Y'all continue to show a ton of love, a ton of support to the boys. It is no secret. This is one of my favorite programs to talk about. All the fight-ons in the comment section, that stuff absolutely means the world. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, want to get into some more film deep dives. If you guys got players that we want to take a look at, let us know in the comment section. Would love to get some more guys. We got Achille Arnold coming up later this week, another safety that I'm extremely excited about for USC. But without further ado, let's get into Kamari Ramsey. And before we get into the film of Kamari Ramsey, I want to talk about what his MO is and what he's going to do for this USC defense. And it starts with his elite ability in coverage, right? You talk about what Kamari Ramsey did in coverage for UCLA, faced 22 targets, only gave up 10 catches, less than a 45% completion percentage when targeted. Kamari Ramsey, not only very good in man coverage, he's also very good at that single high safety role where he's reading the quarterback's eyes, breaking in on footballs. But what I think sets Kamari Ramsey apart and what really makes, me so excited for what Kamari Ramsey brings to this USC defense is what he does in the run game as well. You take a look at a guy like Kalen Bullock, who again was one of the better coverage safeties that we saw in the country last year, left a little bit to be desired in terms of his physicality in the run game. You can't say the same for Kamari Ramsey. You take a look at some of the numbers, 10 run stops on the year last year, an average depth of tackle in the run game of 3.4 yards down the field. What does that tell you about Kamari Ramsey? He wants to get downhill. He wants to make his plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. Now you get into the film of Kamari Ramsey. I think what excites you the most is how many different ways that D'Anton Lynn uses Kamari Ramsey. Again, Oregon State, they want to run the football. It's 3rd and 2. What does D'Anton Lynn do with this UCLA defense? He puts all his defenders around the line of scrimmage. And you have Kamari Ramsey walked all the way up to the line of scrimmage, and you see his willingness and physicality to get involved in the run game, right? Getting downhill, working through a block, making a massive stop on 3rd and 2 to get off the field. That's some of the stuff that I think excites you the most about Kamari Ramsey. Very similar play on the next possession for Oregon State. And this is not necessarily the stuff that is going to show up on the highlight reel, but this is some of the stuff that's going to win you football games in the fall. Very similar look, right? 1st and goal, another classic D'Anton Lynn look where you're putting a ton of bodies around the line of scrimmage, really putting that offense in conflict. Kamari Ramsey, very similar alignment, getting walked up all the way to the line of scrimmage in a very similar play where Kamari Ramsey gets downhill behind the line of scrimmage and makes a massive play on 1st and goal. What Kamari Ramsey can do, not only in his versatility, but how willing and how able he is to be a force in the run game is absolutely massive. And you look at the goal of a defense in the modern day of college football, it's the ability to get speed and coverage ability on the field, but not giving up in the run game. And Kamari Ramsey is a guy that you can play him as a nickel, you can play him as a box safety, you can play him as a free safety. He's going to get involved in the run game. The next rep I want to take a look at, which again, one of my favorite reps of Kamari Ramsey. Now, this is a little bit of a different look. The traditional 2 high safety look where you have Kamari Ramsey, 15 yards off the football. He is going to, again, drive downhill once he sees run. You're going to see him leave your screen for a little bit, drive downhill, and go make a play. This is the type of stuff that I think really excites me for Kamari Ramsey. This is a guy that doesn't necessarily need to be on the line of scrimmage to go make plays. And the last play I want to look at from Utah is another similar concept. And there's 2 things that I want to note for Kamari Ramsey. Again, walked up on the line of scrimmage right here. One, he knows what he needs to do, right? He's maintaining leverage right here. Oh, we're going to pause that real quick. Full screen again. We're going to take it back a second. Bad on the film controls here. Very similar look, though. You're walking Kamari Ramsey right up to the box right here. And what he's going to do is two things that I really like. One, he's going to play with leverage. How many times did we see USC's defense let running backs get past their outside shoulder and get outside the numbers? Way too many times. What does Kamari Ramsey do? He knows his role. He's keeping contained. He's squeezing down, and he's coming in to make a play. I think Kamari Ramsey and the value that he's going to bring in the run game is probably the most excited that you're looking at. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is really what Kamari Ramsey, I think, does best, and that is his ability to play in coverage in a lot of different ways. You're going to see two different examples. One of Kamari Ramsey in man coverage, and then the other two of him playing zone, keeping his eyes on the quarterback and disrupting passing lanes. Right? The first thing we're going to look at here is against Oregon State, back to the Oregon State film where you're going to see D'Anton Lynn. Again, this is what makes Kamari Ramsey so special in my mind, is the vast amount of things that he can do. He's playing off coverage and man coverage as kind of that, I mean, I guess you could say nickel, maybe still that safety role, but he's in man coverage with not much help over top of him. And you're going to see Kamari Ramsey do a phenomenal job staying in the back hip of this wide receiver, forcing an incompletion. Again, not something that's going to show up on the highlight tape, but Kamari Ramsey's ability to play man coverage as a safety is very, very exciting. And the next couple of reps that you're going to see is him kind of keeping his eyes on the quarterback. Right now, you take a look at this one against Oregon State. It's 4th and 2. They end up converting this one. But this is what's special about Kamari Ramsey is the instincts that he has. This is not very hard. It's not very easy to find at the college football level in terms of safeties that know where to look, know where to be in their zones. 4th and 2, Kamari Ramsey knows what he needs to do. He's going to read the quarterback's eyes. He's going to take away that easy throw from DJU that would be kind of a lock to get that first down and move the chains. And he's going to force DJU to make a throw from the opposite hash to the boundary, and they end up completing it, that's just going to happen. But if you can consistently make quarterbacks make those kind of throws to beat you, that's a winning recipe, right? For USC last year, it was just too many easy things for opposing offenses. Kamari Ramsey is a guy that is very comfortable reading the quarterback's eyes, being disruptive. Another rep from Oregon State. I thought he played phenomenal in this game. Again, kind of playing that deeper safety look where he's going to bite in on a little play action, but come back, find where he needs to go, and kind of layer the boom. And again, this ends up being a completion, and that is going to happen. But when you see Kamari Ramsey play, nothing comes easy for him in the back end. And you're going to see him check off all the boxes that you want in a safety. You take a look at Kamari Ramsey in coverage. He's a guy that can be really sticky in man coverage, and that's a massive asset to have as a safety. A lot of safeties are liabilities in man coverage. They might be able to play some over-the-top zone, but are not very good in man coverage. Kamari Ramsey certainly is. You also look at Kamari Ramsey being that ball-hawking safety, kind of like Kalen Bullock the last couple of years at USC. Certainly has that capability too. He's a very fluid mover. He's explosive when that football is in the air. Kamari Ramsey had over, three forced incompletions just in Oregon State alone. And so Kamari Ramsey is a guy that can make it happen in the back end, reading quarterback's eyes, but then also what he does in the run game, I think, is most impressive as well. Kamari Ramsey in a kind of environment where you want speed and athleticism and coverage ability, but also have physicality against the run, especially going into the Big Ten, having a chess piece like Kamari Ramsey, who you can line up all over the field, asked to do a million different things, is absolutely massive. We talk about this a lot. It's going to be a talking point for us throughout the next couple of months for USC's defense, and that is versatility. D'Anton Lynn has a very complex scheme. He's going to ask his players to do a lot of different things, and when you have a guy like Kamari Ramsey who can match that versatility and kind of answer all of those responsibilities, that's massive for this USC defense. Massive fan of Kamari Ramsey. Excited to see what he can bring to this USC defense in 2024. We got Achille Arnold up next. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of this film stuff that I have a blast doing. Again, if you have any other players you would like to see us get into, would love to hear it in the comment section. Appreciate you guys always rocking with the fellas. And if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.